Next, we have on stage about a beer project.
We do. Two gentlemen from Belgium who are going to come on stage and talk about beer.
All right, they're already here.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Welcome, Pierre and Sebastian. Welcome. You guys have crowdfunding a beer project.
Yeah, crowdfunding was a part. We'll give a few more examples on how we basically use the crowd to set up a new business, a new brewery in the center of Brussels.
All right, looking forward. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you should reserve the applause for the end. Maybe the presentation will suck. So basically 3 years ago, when we decided with Seb to create a new business, a new brewery in the center of Brussels, people told us you are completely insane. It's a very traditional market, very crowded. You will never make it. And somehow it worked not so bad. So we started at 2. We are now 12 after 3 years. We have a very nice brewery that you should come visit on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday in Dansard. We have a very nice team, lots of different creations, and we sell more or less 5,000 bottles per day now. And one of the key drivers of this success was playing a lot with the crowd. First of all, because we believe there is a lot of opportunities, lots of richness from the crowd. And we'll give today a few examples on how we did this. Now, I heard in some presentations this morning that what we do today is the past. So if there are new ideas, maybe these are not the best ones, but we should come up with new ideas, but at least it can give some inspiration for the future.
So how do we disrupt the traditions? If we can move on to the next slide, please. Is it possible to move on to the next slide, please? Pardon. Okay, one magical word which is at the core of our DNA, it's co-creation. Actually, of course, we're cheating because it's 2 words in one. So basically, we try to be as participative, as collaborative as possible, and also as innovative as possible. We believe that in Belgium was recognized as being this top country for beer because of its innovation, but due to its success, innovation kind of dried. And we want to revive this. We're a little bit frustrated to not have so many styles of beer in Belgium. We're also very frustrated by seeing how much traditional breweries try to put as much distance as possible between beer and people. And we're here to try to put as much proximity between people and beer. So how do we do this co-creation? It started indeed 3 years ago, actually a little bit before that. In Olivier's garage, we were trying many experiments, lots of prototypes, brewing in his garage as home brewers, and making lots of trial and errors, to be polite. Lots of failures, but then after 1 year of experiments, we managed to do 4 pretty decent beers called Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and then invited the crowd to try the beers with us and talk about the beer like you could talk about wine, really get down to the nature of the beer, the prototypes that we created, and select the best beer. And the crowd selected Delta, which is still today the number 1 beer that we have. Here on the slide, it was 4 colors. It was this year prototype tasting, and the crowd voted for the red one. And then we brainstormed about a name for this beer, and the crowd chose Red My Lips, and it's our new beer today. It was very crowd, not just to build this community, to get some visibility, but also as a product validation was sensational because those beers who hit the market are very successful for us.
So letting people choose the beer or the main beers is one thing with it. Another one is changing a bit the rules on how you create the beers. Seb said the traditional brewers usually will say that the recipe is secret. We went on a very different approach, actually doing lots of collaboration with other brewers. So we invite them in our brewery, and we go to their brewery to share our knowledge. Like we are very good in barrel aging, so letting beers age in barrels. Some other breweries, like here in Norway, are very good with some very dark barley malts. So it's the idea of exchanging know-how to improve together on what we do. So with other brewers is one thing. We also did something very different, going a bit further in the collaboration which is with music bands. Here it's actually it's a different picture than the previous one. This is with Editors, which is English bands, rock bands. And actually, we decided to work with them to really understand how music could be translated into beers. It's actually much more serious than what you could think. There are some studies, some people doing in Oxford research on this, that the music really influences the taste and how you taste the beers. Now, we really went for the fun there. We took actually one of their songs and we developed a few prototypes with them. This is actually a stout, a very dark beer with Earl Grey infusion. And that was also very nice because we got some free tickets for Werther, which is always the fun part.
So please come to the brewery. As Olivier said, it's open 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we are in the center of Brussels, in Rue d'Ansart, just a 15-minute walk from here. And this brewery was crowdfunded by 50%. So 50% of our brewery was funded thanks to Beer for Life. So we give 12 beers every year for life to every member of the club. And actually, we'll open again this year for a flash crowdfunding of 2 weeks from the 6th of the 20th of December. So please join the crowd. It's been fantastic to have this community. Now we have 2,000 people, including a few in the room. And it's been sensational to do this experiment with them, to also see how strong was the power of word of mouth. And in this brewery, the idea is to experiment as much as possible. So really to crystallize this notion of co-creation, trying to be as participative as possible, invite our community, so it's a home for a community, invite, as Olivier said, brewers from different parts of the world, but also experiment. So it's a human-sized brewery, it's a pilot brewery, where we have no fear to fail. So we can innovate, we can try different ingredients. We've been able to work with tonka beans from Amazonia, with chipotle chili, with tobacco leaves from Nicaragua. So really trying to be as wild as possible in the ideas, in the brew sheets that we do. Also, we try to include every member of the team, so now we're 12, so that everyone can participate in this creation of beers. And indeed, I see one new beer every 2 weeks, so that's slightly more than the traditional pace of the monolithic Belgian brewing scene, which are very proud to brew the same beers over and over again. With us, it's always changing.
So one example of these creations is Babylon. Babylon has a very specific story. It's actually the first beer made out of unsold bread. So what we do is we work with an NGO to every day collect in a few stores the bread that was not sold the day before, and we transform it so we can use it instead of a part of the barley malt. So we launched this, I think, in March 2015, so 1.5 years ago. We recycle actually more than 10 tons of bread, so it's a lot of food waste we can avoid. We got a lot of media from this, but also we more recently could do this in London.
Yeah, one day we received a phone call from a friend of a friend saying, "Hey, do you know Jamie Oliver?" I say, "Well, maybe I did. Maybe I've heard about his name." And then we heard that he was inviting us to London to learn more about the Babylon, as he wanted to sponsor an initiative also in London. So I had the chance to cook with him. I'm a better brewer than I'm a cook, I have to say. So it was not easy to to be around him during his tirade and his wide cooking experiments. We started very early at 6 a.m. and by 8 a.m. he already had 2 Babylon. So that's maybe how he get his energy. But it was a fun day, and indeed the idea was to share the recipe and beyond the recipe, the process with some London brewers, so Babylon could have a baby sister. So it's copyleft here. We didn't get any royalties. We were not looking for it. And actually, we received some news a few weeks ago that there would be a new baby, but this time in New York City. So hopefully in the future, every city can have a Babylon and a bread beer. We were able to recycle already 10 tons of beer with this project.
So one other thing we do to involve the public is actually live now since last Friday. So the internet is actually quite bad in the room. But when you go out, you should all go on mybeerproject.be. This is a way to involve people more upfront in the process. Actually, we had a debate on where to involve the crowd, and I think there were some very interesting discussions this morning on, crowd can be very wise or can be sometimes stupid, which hurted me a bit. But at the end, I think we had the same kind of almost philosophical discussion on where to involve the crowd. So we said the recipes and the beer creation, brewing the beer will always be ours, but we would like to involve them a bit more upfront on the creativity. And what we did, and again it's live now for the second time, is to ask them some inspiration on the labels, the name and the stories. So what you can do, it's very intuitive. You should go on a website. You can propose a name, some colors and a story, and the best one will basically be turned into a beer. So I think in a few days we probably got 150 suggestions. I mean, it's always very successful, and it's actually very impressive how many good names you're on the website.
Yes, and you can show your skills and come brew with us if you're the winner, if the community vote for you. So mybeerproject.be. I'm sure internet is strong enough so that you can go and access it right away. Anyway, thank you very much. As Olivier said, we are always aiming to learn from the crowd and from enlightened colleagues. So very happy to be here and spend the day with you and learn some more to reshape what's Brussels Beer Project. Thank you very much.
Great. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent project. Yes.
Thank you.
Let's open up the questions, perhaps one or two. Anyone? Anyone has a question for a gentleman right there? Here's the microphone.
Hi, I've got a question. I don't know if you know of Brewdog in Scotland, in the UK. So they've I don't know much about them because I don't drink beer, but it's just interesting to see how they're changing the model. So the question firstly is I didn't get earlier if the way you're describing it sounds very much like a cooperative, but is it a cooperative? But the way you're describing how you're involving people in the process seems very much like very inclusive thing. And the other thing is, do you see what you're doing with the beer as a model of inspiration for other companies in other food sectors maybe doing the same thing? And last thing is, in terms of the ingredients, because I guess this is also important for the community side, how much of the ingredients is like sourced from the local, I don't know, community in your area?
I can take the first question. Obviously, we know Brewdog. Bill, right, was referring to Brewdog. They did also big crowdfunding. To answer the question, so we are, let's say, a classic company, but what we do in a non-classic way is the way we develop the products and we fund them. So we are not a cooperative, but we believe very much in the crowd as a way to inspire us, as a way to do word of mouth, and as a way to fund us. So the funding we did is by the way, reward crowdfunding, which is quite different from Brewdog. Sorry, the question was about right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then a couple of next questions. Well, hopefully we inspire some people, but we don't necessarily know. At least in the beer sector, it's the case because a few people started, as we mentioned before, to do the recycled bread beer and look at food waste and mixing with beer, or the crowdfunding. 3 years ago, in Belgium at least, crowdfunding was very new, and now we've seen that all the breweries follow it, and sometimes with Beer for Life. So it seems that we are giving ideas in that sense. For the ingredients, it's a very good question, and it was a dilemma for us because again, the core of what we are is co-creation. We aim to be as innovative as possible. So can we really only source local ingredients? And the answer was no. It was not easy answer, but that's the take that we decided to go because we prefer to use ingredients that excite the palate as much as possible. So if we have the best hops coming from New Zealand, from Japan, from the northwest coast of America, then we'll take this. If we believe that's the best to suit the recipe, then we'll take this. And in Belgium, unfortunately, you have great barley malts, but you don't have the best hops. And we want to make the best beer possible with the skills that we have. So we decided to not limit ourselves to local ingredients. Of course, if the quality is the same, it makes much more sense to use local ingredients, but that's not always the case.
Great. I think we need to wrap up because we need to stay on time. Sebastian and Olivier, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Great project.
It's not beer, with chocolate. There you go.